Are you invested in crypto? Well, there's something you really need to know. Some huge news came out yesterday that could impact the whole blockchain technology space. It may make you want to rethink your whole portfolio. This news is so big. It's now clear who are going to be the winners and who are going to be the losers of this space. Do you want to be invested in winners or losers? I know what I would rather do. So if that sounds good to you, come and join the show because we're going to look at all the news, all the charts, and work out what this means for the space and for your bags.
Department of Commerce is going to start issuing its statistics on the blockchain because you are the crypto president, and we are going to put out GDP on the blockchain so people can use the blockchain for data distribution, and then we're going to make that available to the entire government so all of you can do it. We're just ironing out all the details so we can do it.
So there you heard Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick announcing that the American government, the Department for Commerce, will be putting their data, their economic data, on the blockchain. And this is huge for a couple of chains. First of all, here we read, the US Department of Commerce partners with Chainlink to bring government macroeconomic data on chain. And also announcing yesterday, Pyth, update, US Department of Commerce collaborates with Pyth network to put GDP and other economic data on chain. So who does this benefit? What network is Chainlink best known for? Ethereum. What network Pyth best known for its integration with? Solana. Now do you see where I'm going with this?
The GDP numbers that came out this morning are impressive. The U.S. economy grew at 3.3%. That's right, Donald Trump is fixing the Biden mess and doing it at a record pace. 3.3% GDP growth for the United States of America. And what that did is it helped the United States hit a record $30 trillion economy. That's right, the United States economy is now larger, for the first time ever in this quarter, larger than $30 trillion. The Commerce Department, together with the President of the United States of America, have now put these record GDP numbers on the blockchain. So, you've got the crypto president with the greatest $30 trillion economy in the world, putting out those numbers on the blockchain. This is how the golden age feels.
So yeah, this is really great news for Chainlink and Pyth. Obviously, they're both oracles in their own right. They both provide data, and they both are cross-chain, okay, and multi-chain, bringing in multiple blockchains and providing that data. But two of the key chains that this benefits most, I believe, are the most established, and that being Ethereum and Solana. Ethereum, as we know, has already got the narrative with the institutions, and Solana has got the speed and the functionality for big payment companies. So some chains are being left behind here, and we're going to go through that in this video, okay? And some networks that I may not have mentioned already are also going to benefit from this. So let's carry on. And here is the statement from the US Department of Commerce. Now, I'm not going to read all of this out to you because I don't want to bore most of you, okay? But if you want to read this, take a screenshot, okay? But the key point I want to mention to this, right, is the department published an official hash of its quarterly GDP data release for 2025, and in some cases, the top line GDP number to the following 9 blockchains: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Tron, Stellar, Avalanche, Arbitrum, Polygon, and Optimism. The data was also further disseminated through coordination with the oracles, Pyth, and Chainlink. The exchanges Coinbase, Gemini, and Kraken helped facilitate the department's publishing. The department will continue to innovate and broaden the scope of publishing future datasets like the GDP to include the use of other blockchains, oracles, and exchanges. Through this landmark effort, the department hopes to demonstrate the wide utility of blockchain technology. It also aims to demonstrate a proof of concept for all government and build on the Trump administration's historic efforts to make the United States of America the blockchain capital of the world. So basically, in a nutshell, unless the crypto that you're invested in was mentioned then, they're kind of being left behind. It doesn't say that it's going to exclude them in the future. There is potential that other blockchains can be involved. But as you saw, most of what was mentioned there, Ethereum and its layer 2s, and Solana and a handful of others. Bitcoin's mentioned there too, but you know, who uses Bitcoin for anything else other than store of value and, you know, a safe, secure, decentralized asset? You know, I know you've got the Lightning Network and I know there's been developments with Bitcoin, but it kind of always gets left behind with anything else, whether it's data, DeFi, you know, all of those things. All of the dApps that everyone uses, everything that everyone's building on these chains, okay? Now, it didn't mention XRP. It didn't mention Cardano, Hedera Hashgraph, Algorand. You know, many of these other chains that people are so devoted to, okay? Now, I don't know if I told you recently, well, I mentioned it in one of my videos, I exited after a long time my Cardano position. I was using the chain and I was realizing it lacked liquidity. It had enough liquidity for me, but I just realized that there was a lack of liquidity. And there was also a lack of stablecoins. Now, we saw the stablecoin bill get passed, okay? So any chain that's going to do very, very well needs to have either USDC or USDT on it. Don't get me wrong, there can be other stablecoins. But for now, they're the two main ones. They're the two main ones with the most liquidity, okay? And what chains can you use those stablecoins on? Okay, so those ones are ones you want to think about. So you want to think, is your blockchain that you're invested in connected or have the data set or the connection to work with Chainlink or Pyth? Okay, so if it's Chainlink, it's Ethereum and EVM compatible chains, like your Avalanche, like your layer 2s, like Optimism, Arbitrum, Polygon, you know, all of those types of ones. Then for Pyth, you've got Solana, you've got Sui, Aptos, and a few others. Okay, so I'll let you go and research whether your chain is connected to those, because I can't go through all of them now. But the key point to note is that fundamentally, Chainlink has been born from the Ethereum ecosystem, and fundamentally, Pyth has been born from the Solana ecosystem. So it's really important to know that this, what we're talking about today, is just the start of things, okay? If you're wanting TradFi, big institutions, be building and connecting with your chain, because let's face it, they're the ones that bring the liquidity, serious liquidity to this industry, okay? It was only in the bear market that we was wondering whether the institutions, the bear market of 2022, 2023, let me add, okay, we didn't know the institutions were definitely coming. We always spoke about it. We always believed in it. In 2021, we had no institutions. We had Tesla. We had Elon Musk buy some Bitcoin and then get feared out of it by warnings from ecological companies, okay, saying that, you know, Bitcoin was bad for the environment. It uses too much energy and all of that sort of stuff. And that wasn't a good look for him, obviously running EV car company. And then you had Michael Saylor come along with his micro strategy, his treasury strategy, you know. Apart from that, the institutions were nowhere to be seen. Then, as we came out of the bear market, we started to hear about BlackRock, okay? And then after that, the rest is history. You know, the institutions have been piling in, and so many treasury companies buying Bitcoin. But for the altcoin space, it was kind of getting left behind. And then we started to hear about the potential of, you know, this new American government changing things and becoming the crypto capital of the world. And it all sounded like too good to be true. None of us really believed it was actually ever going to come to play. And then we hear about this digital assets framework, the stablecoin bill, the Digital Clarity Act. And then we had Gary Gensler as well, who was just literally putting the blockers on for everything, you know. And then, you know, we was crying for him to go. And then, you know, as soon as Trump got into power, you know, Gary Gensler was on his way out. And now we've got Paul Atkins, who's so bullish. So we've got a bullish SEC, we've got a bullish US government. And, you know, they couldn't do more for this space. They're literally opening it up to the world for global adoption. So the point I've been trying to get at in this video is the future is clear now. It's Ethereum, Solana, it's everything that connects to Chainlink and Pyth. These are the best investments to make in crypto right now. Not financial advice, obviously. I never give financial advice. This is purely for entertainment and educational value. But that's enough for the news now. Let's go into the charts and have a look at what Chainlink's doing, what Pyth's doing, and see whether they're going to outperform Bitcoin or Ethereum in this cycle. So of course we should start off with Link on its USD pair. Okay, so Link's been in this channel, okay, this rising diagonal line channel, okay, and it's broken up from a big accumulation range in the bear market. It's made a couple of big rises here, consistently higher highs and higher lows, and now it's reaching this upper trend line, okay, and it's tapped it literally and seen in the near term a rejection, okay, but this has been quite a significant move over recent weeks for Chainlink, okay, rising as high as around $27, okay, so it might need some time to cool off. At the moment it's finding support here around $23, okay, so, and it's finding it on the 5 weekly EMA. All the other EMAs look bullish. You know, it can come down. It could even come back down and drop out through into this zone again and come and retest some of these EMAs, or maybe even retest this area around $17, $18. Okay, that would be completely still intact and bullish for this market. In fact, it could even come down as low as this, but I'm not going to go there right now. That, I believe that would be a very harsh correction for the crypto markets. And now that could be said that it's happening right now. But with Bitcoin already, you know, heading down to 109,000 this week, I believe the bottom is near for Bitcoin. We are in a bull market. And as we go further into the cycle, the bull market corrections get sometimes shallower and less in time. Okay, so as we're moving higher, I believe the corrections will be shorter. They might be deeper sometimes, but if they are, they're quick and they're wicks. Okay, so I believe this does break out eventually, and we start heading up to these higher levels to take on the all-time high. So with Chainlink all-time high around $53, okay, you know, you could see it go a lot higher if it breaks that all-time high. And if we do some fib extensions, okay, let's do it from the bear market low to the previous bull market high, okay, and bring it back down again. And these are some of the fib targets to look at. Okay, we've got the 1618 around $81, $82, the 2618 up here at $133. And then you can see, you know, these fib levels can go all the way up to $200 or so. And that could be perfectly achievable, maybe even higher, as in bull markets, in crypto, with such volatile assets, we can see the extensions surpass fib levels. Okay, so am I bullish on Chainlink? Yes, I am. Full disclosure, I hold it. It's one of my bigger positions. Okay. Up there with behind my Sui and Solana bags. Okay, I tend, just full disclosure, I don't hold a lot of Ethereum. I'm more invested in its ecosystem because I believe they will outperform Ethereum, and that's your likes of Aave, Chainlink, Uniswap, and Avalanche, and some layer 2s as well. I've got Arbitrum and Polygon. On its Bitcoin pair, Chainlink is still in this downtrend, okay, with lower highs, yeah, and lower lows, okay. It's seen a strong move up recently, and I would like to say, with Bitcoin dominance dropping the way it has been, and with the Ethereum breakout reaching a new all-time high, it's fair to say maybe the Altseason rotation is underway. And if that is going to take place, we should expect that Chainlink will break out of this downtrend eventually. And I believe it's going to be soon. I believe this is the last time it finds resistance here. Now, whether it comes back down and forms some sort of W formation, okay, maybe it hits a higher low around here, okay, or whether it makes a higher low here and touches the EMAs. I believe this breaks at some point and it gets above this trend line, above this 200-week EMA, and starts taking on these other levels. And when Bitcoin pairs break out, like in previous cycles, they really move fast, okay? And what you'll see is, and to back that up, if you just go and look at Bitcoin dominance and look at 2017 and 2021, when Bitcoin dominance really starts to drop, it moves fast. It happens over a space of a handful of months, okay? And then we could start to see a real speed up of the altcoin season, okay? So it's not bullish at the moment, but all it would literally take is to break this. If it could break out from there in a couple of weeks, then come back down and retest this, or just literally just start to make that uptrend, you know, that would mean that Chainlink is then outperforming Bitcoin probably for the rest of the cycle, okay? And a little bit of a different story for Chainlink against its ETH pair, okay? So this is Chainlink and its performance against Ethereum, okay? It's been creating these higher lows here since May, June of 2023, you know, and then it's made another one in August 24 and more recently in August 2025, okay? And each time it's touched these bottoms, it's found its way up to this resistance line here, okay? Now, this could be a big accumulation pattern against Ethereum. Now, if you believe Ethereum's going to go on to make all-time highs, and we know how it's being accumulated by the institutions such as Bitminer and other companies like that. So I believe that Link will outperform Ethereum, and we will start to see this move up. And this is a bullish pattern. This is an accumulation pattern. Okay, it's potentially a triple bottom. You've got one low here, so that would be your shoulder, then your head, and this is your another shoulder. And when it breaks this neckline, we should start to see some significant pace in its move up. Now we're looking at Pyth, okay? Now Pyth was launched around November 2023, okay? And this is the weekly chart. And since March of 2024, when we had a little bit of an alt season around March 2024, okay, we saw this climb up significantly from January to March, okay? Then we've seen just nothing but decline, and it's really taken a massive beating, has Pyth, okay? But what we're starting to see now, okay, we started to see a new channel forming, only by this low and this high, and then another low again. And on this news yesterday, Pyth pumped. I think it was up to around 60 something percent. Okay, let's measure this move now and see how it's come. It actually pumped 130% in the past week. Okay, so quite a move. It's now up around 96% for the week. So solid move there. A nice breakout for Pyth. Okay, now where's it going next? Okay, now it's currently at around 20 cents. Okay, but its all-time high was up here at around 116. Okay, so to get back to all-time high from where we're at now, you're talking around a 4.5, 5x. Okay, so that would be quite a significant move. We're looking at the EMAs now on the weekly, okay, and they are ticking bullish, okay. You've got the 5 cross the 13, and it's heading up towards the 50 now, okay. So a strong move. Now this is a much lower market cap, so there is some more risk to being invested in Pyth than say with Chainlink. However, the upside potential is far greater. So Pyth is sitting at with a 1.2 billion market cap. In the past 24 hours, it saw 2.35 billion in volume. But its volume is far surpassing its market cap size, which is massively bullish and means that this market cap should be going up very soon. Okay, and there's a 10 billion max supply of Pyth. Okay, and the current circulating supply is around 5.74 billion. Okay, so over half the supply is out. Let's call it around 60% of the supply is out. And like I say, this is ranked number 70 in the crypto chart on CoinMarketCap. So the growth potential, if this, say if Solana was to really start competing with Ethereum, I don't believe it flips it, definitely not in this cycle. But if it was to start rivaling it, and Pyth is the key oracle, the one that the US government is trusting alongside Chainlink, the potential for this is absolutely huge. You know, let's do the fib targets on it. So bearing in mind this is only at around 20 cents at the moment. Okay, so we've got fib targets up here of a 1618 of 180. Okay, you've got 2618 at 286. You know, and you've got you know, if it was to come up and take out these highs, and this could really, really moon, absolutely mooning. And let's measure some of that. Okay, so say if we was to go from here, right, and you're talking, you know, up to these targets here, you know, you're talking about a 20x from where we're at now. Okay, these are the types of things that you come to crypto for. Okay, now obviously it's a risky play. It's not as guaranteed as, say, your safe gains in the likes of Ethereum and Chainlink, or even Solana, you know, even Sui, you know, things like that. But if this is a key part of their ecosystems, like for Solana, Sui, and it's now using data from the American government, it's going to be trusted by TradFi. It's going to get some serious investment capital flowing into it. So can it 20x? Yes, it can. Is it likely? I don't know. It all depends on how this bull market goes and how long it goes on for. But like I say, when they break out from these lows, you know, you can see some really serious gains coming. I mean, first of all, you want to see it take out this level here. Let's get the extension off. Look at these levels. Okay, so really you want to see, if it breaks this 24 cents, it's already wicked up to it. Okay, if you can break that, then you're looking for 34 cents, and then you're looking for 46 cents, 55, and then you've got an all-time high up here of around $1.16. I mean, even the move to the all-time high, you know, you're printing gains there. And anything past that, you know, I'd say if you're in it or you're thinking about accumulating it, maybe you might get a pullback, maybe you won't. It all depends on the market conditions. But like I say, it should start moving up. If on its BTC pair has accumulated down here for a number of weeks, okay, creating higher lows, okay, it made a higher high there, and then it came down higher lows, and then it's now done a breakout that we saw from yesterday. It's 5 and 13 weekly EMAs of crossing now bullish for the first time since around, you know, late 2024. So this is bullish. This looks good. Okay, can it continue? Let's see. We want to see it. You know, there's not a lot of TA you can be done here, but this high of around 0.0000260 is kind of where you want to get past, and then it should be a nice move up there. That's the only place I can see any real resistance. There's resistance here and there. But yeah, on its BTC pair, you could see with an Altseason starting, this could absolutely fly against its Bitcoin pair. And against its Solana pair, Pyth has just made an absolutely gigantic candle there. Let's measure that. Okay. You know, that's yeah, over 100% move on Solana in the past day or so. Really good. I mean, look, I mean, when you see a candle like that, normally I'd say it's unsustainable, but let's see how it holds. I should think if Solana starts running soon, which Solana does actually look like it could take a run soon, and really steal some dominance from Bitcoin and ETH. So this could correct a little bit more, and then when Solana chills out and the other altcoins all start to run, because I believe in the risk flow. Yeah, it goes from Bitcoin to Ethereum to the big caps, low caps, and then meme coins and everything else that's speculative. And for a bit of fun, here's Pyth's chart against Link. Okay, as you can see, it's bled out since the day it was born against Link. Okay, but the story might be changing. Look at this. Look at this bounce. Now that's on the daily. Let's put that on the weekly. Okay. I mean, yeah, just bled out against Chainlink the whole time, really, because Chainlink's just been a strong coin of this cycle. Okay. I mean, if you believed in fundamentals of crypto, you knew Chainlink was going to be there. When you was watching all the meetings at the White House where Trump was presenting and had the crypto banquet that he had, and Sergey Nazarov was there, and he's the founder of Chainlink, and he was there literally shaking hands with Trump. You knew there was going to be something good coming. But Pyth, can it outperform Chainlink? Like I say, I think it's quite likely it will. I think Chainlink's going to have a fantastic cycle, but if you want more risk, and this is not financial advice, of course, but maybe have a bit of Pyth in your portfolio too. Then we've got ETH BTC. Okay, so ETH BTC, as I always say, is the inverse of Bitcoin dominance. Okay, so let's have a look at that. So look, let's put Bitcoin dominance there, that red line, as you can see, and and you can already start to see how it meets in the middle there, and then it's as it's breaking down from there. So if we invert this, okay. And there you have it. So Bitcoin dominance is pretty much ETH BTC inverted. Okay, and that's fundamentally because Ethereum is the most dominant chain, blockchain by market cap, other than Bitcoin. Yeah, so you've got that W pattern there. You've got the rising up the levels here. You've got this pattern, this M pattern here, M pattern there, and you've got the stages of it dropping down, the sharp decline, the bottoming out phase, the sharp gradual incline, sorry, I should say, and then you've got the sharp drop. Okay, so yeah, let's take that off again. Ethereum against Bitcoin, what a fantastic move. Pretty sure that's bottomed. It's reclaimed the 50 EMA, and it even made its way all the way up to the 200-week EMA. Okay, so will it find some resistance here? It's been such a sharp move. I would assume that there is going to be some sort of decline or some sort of hold up or pause or something, because that's quite a sharp move. Now, does that mean that Ethereum USD pair goes down? I'm not sure entirely, but I'd say that Ethereum's close to breaking all-time highs and going into price discovery. It's already made a new all-time high marginally, but it could now go into price discovery. Just depends on whether the markets turn around a little bit. As we've seen, Bitcoin's taken a decline down to around 109,000 at the time of recording. So if Bitcoin can start to move up, then Ethereum will probably outperform to the upside. And yeah, and will its dominance, what will its dominance do? It depends on whether Bitcoin has a really strong rally. Because if Bitcoin has a really strong rally, it likes to leave Ethereum in the dust for a while. I saw that many times in 2021. Okay, you would get Bitcoin run, Ethereum holds, then Ethereum runs, Bitcoin holds, then other altcoins run, and they do these cycles week by week and these little rotations and everything. But gradually, Bitcoin dominance is coming down, okay, and that's what I believe will still continue to happen in this cycle. Now, I'd like to see Ethereum against its Bitcoin pair break above this 200 and then start to challenge these levels. But as you've seen, Ethereum's rarely gone that much higher on its Bitcoin pair, okay. You've had all of these resistance levels here, like around this 0.08 level. Okay, up there, I'd be thinking, where are we in the cycle? What sort of moves have we got to be making? Now, it's all right comparing Ethereum against Bitcoin, but what about Solana against ETH? Okay, now Solana against ETH, here we are on the daily, just to show you a bit more that it's had this little bottoming out stage and it's starting to look bullish, but it's still found resistance now on this 50-day EMA. Now let's put it on the weekly and see where it's at. And Solana against ETH, as apart from earlier on in the year, this has not got that much data on this pattern actually. Maybe I'm on the wrong chart here, but we'll go with it for the recent price action because it's correct. So recently, Solana has been declining against Ethereum ever since around April when Ethereum bottomed, okay? Against its Bitcoin pair, and it really started to move. Okay, now Solana looks like it's trying to make a little bit of a comeback here for its first higher high in a long time. Okay, So what we want to see is these 5 and 13 EMAs cross bullish. Go back to the dailies for a bit more info on the chart. Okay, so we've got this sorry, put that where you can see it, this 0.48 level. Okay, then you want to see it take up this 0.56 level. Okay, because that was all of its support there. So you want to flip a previous support. You want to take on that resistance and overcome it. As for Solana versus Bitcoin, okay, you know, it found this as resistance, this top trend line here, okay, and it was really trying to break through it. It broke through it and it was a fake out, and then from that point it rejected and declined down. Now it's come down and it's met this trend line here, okay, quite a new trend line, but I'm saying it's 4 minute here. I mean, you could have said it was from that low there, but I'd say this wick here looks good, okay, and then it's like finding these as support, okay. Now on the weekly, we are starting to see Solana turn bit bullish against Bitcoin again. We're seeing the 5 and 13 EMA crossing bullish. We've seen it overcome the 50-week EMA. Okay, now next up, it will have to come up and challenge this level. So I haven't looked at this chart recently, so I'm just going to pull it over more. Okay, so let's see where that's going. And then as you can see, this would make this form this triangle, but that would drag us out to the end of the year. So I don't believe that's happening. I believe that Solana is starting to make its move against Bitcoin right now, overcoming that 50-week EMA, finding resistance at this 0.001 level, near enough 0.002, and this was support. Now it's going to find it as resistance. Will it break through first time? Maybe not, but it might just hover around here for a little bit before the breakout. That's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see it break this level, and then I'd like to see it break this upper trend line. But other than that, it's bullish on the weekly because of the EMA crosses. So then we've got total 3, which is the top 10 cryptos excluding Bitcoin and ETH. Okay, so this is total 3 versus ETH. Okay, and then what you see is here, we had this resistance and support channel. Okay, this range, which it was in from like 2021 to around 2023. Now, total 3, I mean, ETH had been underperforming. So while you had other altcoins such as your Suis and Solana and all of those doing really well over the past year or two compared to ETH, yeah, ETH was having a sorry time of it until, like I say, until around April. Okay, then total 3 has broken down against ETH as ETH has outperformed. But look at this drop. Okay, now that means ETH's been outperforming for quite a while. It's found itself down here at this support level again. Okay, will it break it and continue down? Not sure, but I would say altcoins need to get a bounce against Ethereum. They need their turn now. And with Bitcoin dominance breaking down, with ETH having had its run to its all-time highs now, and the percentage gains that you can get in altcoins that could see it massively outperform Bitcoin and Ethereum, you'd expect this now to start turning around at some point. Now, can it wait around for a while? Can it accumulate? Yes, it can. And I believe that's going to happen. Do I think it's going to break this level? I really don't think so. You know, I don't have a crystal ball. I can't predict the future. But I'd say no. I'd say that's probably going to hold, and we are going to start to see a turnaround on altcoins. That was a sharp decline while Ethereum had its time in the limelight. And that's not to say Ethereum's time in the limelight is not over, but its percentage gains compared to other altcoins, I believe, will be far less. And we can see this in the Ethereum dominance chart. Okay, so this is ETH.D. Okay, see the sharp run up. Okay, and now it's met 200 week EMA. And bearing in mind, it found this kind of as support previously until it lost it. And then, you know, it collapsed down until around April. And then it's taken a sharp rally up. I believe that's going to find it as resistance for the meanwhile. And this is Bitcoin dominance, excluding stablecoins, USDT and USDC. And what we can see is that we've had the big move down, okay, and now it's found this level here, and it's trying to break down. It met there. It's had a little rally up, a little bounce up recently, and that was because it met this trend line, okay. Now this trend line, it touches there, and it touches there, and then it was finding it as support and resistance here, okay, and it's come down to it now again, and I think it could break on if we can get a nice good pump in altcoins, okay. Now Bitcoin could also take a good strong rally where it takes some dominance back for a little while. Maybe it could get back up to 64.5. But what I'd say is Bitcoin in previous cycles, when it breaks down, it really breaks down fast, like here in 2021. Okay. So, like I say, when it broke that level, if you see that there, it was that level again. Okay. It was resistance, it was support, and it was support again until it broke. When it broke, we saw a sharp decline. That was your alt season. You know, can it do that again? Break this line here where the blue and red is, and then break down hard and fast and show us our altcoin season we're all waiting for. And just another chart here to show that we're potentially at an inflection point where things can really turn around. Okay, we've got others versus ETH. Okay, this historic trend line dating back to 2017. Okay, we touched it again here around 2023. And then we've got it again 2025. Now, you know, last time it met this trend line, it saw a fast bounce away. Okay. Is it going to see a fast bounce away again? What I'd like to say is it's broken down very, very quickly here. Okay. Does that mean it's going to get a bounce soon? Does it mean it has to hold and bounce around before making its move up? You know, maybe Ethereum and the bigger cap coins need to do their thing. Okay. And then we'll start to see the real rotation into lower cap cryptos. Everything outside of the top 10 basically is this others chart. And this is the total crypto market cap and trend line chart. Okay. So what we can see is where the markets have been overheated before in the red, and when things have seriously cooled off to like a frozen blue color. Okay. Now we've just been dipping in and out of blue really, and this aqua blue. Okay. We haven't had these higher for altcoins for the whole crypto space, this higher orange and red colors. Okay, that's what we're waiting for. It's been holding this fair value trend line, you know, for since around 2022. Now it's tried to break out a couple of times, like in 2023 and 2024. Okay, but we haven't seen this massive expansion into orange and red yet, and I believe it could get up there into that, you know, that trend line up there. You know, that upper bound now is sitting at around 42 trillion. Okay, that would be for the whole of the crypto space. Currently sitting at around the fair value right now is about 4.28 trillion. Okay, so, and we know that crypto doesn't like to stay at its fair value. I mean, hell, the stock market can't stay at a fair value. It's always overvalued. It's time for crypto to have its time being overvalued too. I'm not going to spend too much time on this week, but just showing you that the metrics for Ethereum are bullish. Okay, we've got TVL here in the blue line, yeah, climbing up. We've got bridged TVL climbing up. We've got stablecoin market cap clearing, moving up. And same for Solana, okay? We've got everything moving up. You've got your TVL, your stablecoin market cap, and your bridge TVL. If you want to know whether your chain or your crypto projects are doing well, go to DeFi Llama. Great website. It's got all the on-chain data for your chains, and you can see whether they're actually seeing real growth. Okay, usually price follows these metrics. And here is the ETH versus BTC short-term bubble risk. Okay, now in 2021 we got into this orange, and then we hit red very, very briefly. Okay, and as you can see in 2017, we saw a lot of red. ETH was massively outperforming Bitcoin in that cycle because it was a new asset. It had a lot of percentage gains to take on. You could say maybe diminishing returns on ETH versus BTC in this cycle, or maybe things are starting to turn around. We are in this orange. We haven't got any red. I'd like to see us get into the red here and start seeing that as a sign that Altseason's heavily underway. And a similar sign here from Solana, okay? So Solana, lots of red in 2021, okay? And then in 2024, around the meme season, when meme coins were hot, and obviously Solana was doing very well from that because it was the epicenter of meme season. Phantom Wallet, Solana swaps, all of that, on the Solana dexes, Jupiter, Radium, Pump.fun, all of those names come into the mix. Now, it's starting to see green, and usually from green, I mean, don't get me wrong, not always, but green can go into yellow, into red, okay? And we're starting to see that green coming out of this blue that we've been in for most of this year, okay? And when it comes to Sol versus ETH, obviously Sol outperformed ETH during that period, okay? And since around the summer, we've seen a decline in Sol against Ethereum, probably since April, in fact, as we saw in all the other charts. Now, this is heavy dark blue. We've gone from light blue into heavy dark blue. Now we're going back into light blue again. We will hopefully start to see the recovery on Solana versus ETH. Because not to say that I want Solana to outperform ETH. Obviously, I do have a bigger bag of Solana than I do of ETH, than I do of Ethereum. But I also hold a lot of ETH coins as well. So I just want to see an alt season, where everything's taking its turn, popping off like popcorn, bees to honey, the people flow into where the gains are, and we can all take our profits on our altcoins. Chainlink and Pyth are the oracles of the major chains that will be providing data from the US Commerce Department, and literally they will be opening up the doors to traditional finance, big institutions investing huge capital, setting up their own protocols and connecting with these big layer ones. Okay, and if you're not in those big layer ones and you're not in the coins that will connect to Chainlink or Pyth, then you might be missing a trick. Have a good look at what is in your portfolio. If you've got coins that are, US based, that really should be there, that they should have stable coins like USDT or USDC. They should have connections to Chainlink. They should have connections to Pyth. They're missing out on something if they're not, and it's not to say that it couldn't happen in the future, but, how long's a piece of string? When could it happen? Will it be this cycle? Will it be ever? You do not know. So what do you think about all this? Do you think that other chains will get a look in? Do you think it could be Cardano, XRP, Hedera, Algorand, all of those other chains? Do you see this as being a big thing, or nothing big? I'd like to hear your opinions on this. I think it's a really big topic. A really important news event that came out yesterday. Obviously, the news broke a few days earlier when you saw Howard Lutnick talking with Trump, but the announcement of it being Pyth and Chainlink, that was fresh as yesterday. And I'd just like to hear what your points of view on that are. So drop a comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and follow me for more videos like this. Okay, and don't forget to watch my recent video down there. See you soon.